Welcome back to the channel. If you've never been here before, welcome. You see the information on the screen. And, so you kind of know what I'm about. Now, the very last time I did something with Mr. Gaskins, got a lot of hate. There were just a lot of people that really didn't feel, exactly what I was talking about, or maybe they was just a little worried about, how I was dealing with, Mr. Gaskins' information. But I am here to let you know that I am willing to do it again. And the reason why, ladies and gentlemen, is that I always feel that many times groups of people get, not, kind of looked over, right? And a lot of my channel, I'm starting to understand, really kind of slides into those people, because if you've been hanging out on my channel for a while, you know that I mainly talk about 3 different personality types. And while this particular video will actually talk to both men and women, as always, for most of my videos, this one will probably, again, lean a little bit more towards the women because Mr. Gaskins leans towards talking to women, right? But even in that, I just feel that most people out here, they're just not talking to every type of personality. And they tend to go with the average personality type, or I should say, sometimes I kind of call those people like the insiders, right? So the insiders, it's almost like they were just born perfect, or they had the perfect upbringing. And so they were always able to kind of navigate life relatively easy. But then you have other people that were kind of on the outside. And, it could be various reasons. Maybe you did have a really great upbringing, but it might have also been where maybe you might have been a little bit more, like I say, nerdy, or been a little bit more artistic, or been a little bit just more spacey. Or maybe you're just the type of person that just wanted to be by yourself. And even though you like having people around, you kind of prefer, a very relaxed, introverted lifestyle, right? And so those types of people always have it difficult. And I find that a lot of people are just not talking to them. And I think the reason why is because most people out here, they talk about what they've experienced, because that's what we all do. We talk about things based off our own experience. And as we're looking through life, we're looking through the lens of that. But with me, one of the things that I think makes me different is not just because I have a little bit of that in my background, that whole awkward, nerdy type of thing in my background, but I also did spend time really studying different personalities. And when you start to really study personalities, you start to see people differently, because you recognize, wow, this personality is going to have a very difficult time living in this environment. And, if, like I said, if you've been around my channel for a while, I talk about that there's probably well over 500 distinct personalities. But according to Myers-Briggs, which is the one most people know as far as a personality test, there are 16 different personalities according to Myers-Briggs. And on this particular channel, we kind of take those and we make 3 unique personalities, which are the instinct type, the heart type, and the thinking type, right? And if you've been on my channel, because today we're basically going to be talking primarily about how to know if a man wants to marry you, i.e. also, how to know if a woman wants to marry you. Like I said, men can follow along with this as well if they would like. Okay, but that is the title of Mr. Gaskins' video, so that is what we are going to basically be talking about today. Now, I've never seen this particular video, so I don't know what he's going to say. We might agree on most of it, but I found the last video I did with him, we did not really agree on that much. We only agreed on maybe about 20 or 30%. And with that in mind, that is why I decided to go ahead and do it. Like I said, I haven't seen it, so we will go through it together today. But one of the core elements before I even get started is, again, if you've been on my channel for a while, I always talk about ownership. Someone who really wants to marry you, who wants to be with you, they're going to take ownership. All right. And that's a really big thing. So the main key element for all the new people is that when you come into an environment, that person, like I say, for the women watching, that means that man is going to start to be concerned about you, your life, and everything that has to go on with you. So everything from your tail light being out to your credit score. All right. They're going to be concerned about that because now they're thinking about, okay, the future. And women to men is almost the same thing, but I do think that women have to kind of walk a little bit thinner tightrope when it comes to men, because if you're dealing with a man that is a little bit more walking in his masculine, he's going to not want you to come in being his mother. So it's really important for women to kind of know that, because I think sometimes they can come in with ownership and then that kind of puts them in a bad place. So you kind of have to come in, taking baby steps. And it works really well for women because it allows the woman to allow the man to be the man first and actually do his part first. And by doing that, it makes it easy, especially for heart type women, to basically warm up to the man a little bit and not to be so giving, right out, the gate. So you get to kind of see, is this man going to be giving? Is he going to be loving? Is he going to start to take care of me? Or you can kind of sit back and be like, nah, this dude ain't doing nothing. And a lot of women get caught up, all right, with really bad guys because in that first 90 days, the woman is coming forth with all the giving and the man ain't doing nothing.
One of the things that you need to understand about men is that we are very serious. And when we want something, we go after it. So when you think about the men like the Elon Musk of the world, the Jeff Bezos of the world, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, all of these men who you see who are billionaires, and you think about the Michael Jordans and the Kobe Bryants and even the Tyler Perrys and the Jay-Z's, when you look at every industry, you'll notice that there are men who have achieved things that seem beyond the imagination. And that's one thing that a lot of times I think women forget, is that a man knows what he wants and he goes for what he wants. And then even on a smaller scale, when you just look at a little boy who wants a toy, he will go through anything and anyone to get that toy. When you look at high school athletes and college and pro athletes who may never become a billionaire, but they become all-stars and they become champions. When you think about warriors and all of the stories in any and every area.
Okay, so I'm glad he started there. I was actually hoping, for him to start a little bit different, but I am glad he started there because, again, that leads back into what I said at the very beginning. Remember how each and every last person that he's talking about right now, they've achieved these high heights. Okay, did you not get that? He's talking about the Michael Jordans of the world. Well, ladies, just to let you know, let's be real for a second. Okay, that is probably less than 1% of the population. And this is one of the places where a lot of women make mistakes because they end up going and their expectations get too high. So now you're talking about, dealing with men at this very high level, and those high level men, can pick and choose what they want. And then it opens women up for hurt because they're trying to get to that guy. And then if they get to that guy and then the guy uses them, they don't really understand, why this happened to them. All right. So again, I'm not against Mr. Gaskins and what he's trying to say. But what I am going to, kind of say is that most men, kind of like he said, if they're in that instinct energy, they're going to go 100% after what they want. However, most men, period, will make moves. But you cannot believe that it's going to be these grandiose jumps. Remember what I talked about when I said taking ownership. Almost every man will take ownership if he's serious about marriage. Okay, so look for the ownership items, not the big grandiose, oh, he's going to be this bulldozer knocking everything out of the way in order to get to you. All right? Because again, see, that's what I'm concerned about. And I'm concerned about the language and the understanding of what's really happening here. And to make sure that women kind of figure out that, men will make moves. Yes, they will make moves. But sometimes, depending upon the man, he might make a smaller move, or his move might just be treating you very well or being very romantic. So you have to understand the man. You have to talk to him and understand who he is on the inside. And if he on the inside, is a little bit more romantic or artsy or whatever it is, that's going to show up in how he loves you and in the moves he's making toward you, right? Because one man might want to put you on the world stage, but another man might actually, paint a portrait of you, and then you come into his house and then you see this huge portrait that he might give to you or at least show you that he's done, because that is showing that he is making moves. And that's why you have to understand and talk to men. It's really important for women to always talk to men and actually know what's on that man's heart and actually listen when he's talking about what's on his heart.
To put it simple, if you have to wonder if a man is serious about you, then he isn't.
Now, that I will agree with. And what I'll say on that is you should know that within, like I said, it's always hard to give a full date range on it, but you're going to know within the first couple of months to that 6 month mark. Because sometimes we talk about 90 days and sometimes we talk about 180 days. But you should not be with a man beyond 180 days if he is not shown that he is 100% serious about you and that you don't feel comfortable with where you are. Okay, that is extremely important. And again, that's where a lot of women get messed up, because they don't really know where they fit in, and they spend a lot of time with these men, right? And so even guys, it's the same way. It's really not much difference, like I say, between men and women. So men, when you're dealing with a woman, if she is not showing you, if she's not putting in the time, if she does not want to be with you, blah, 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 she always got something to do. Again, she don't like you. She don't want to be bothered with you, and you need to move on.
Because what a man is going to do is he is going to remove doubt, whether he's an extrovert or heels. Have you ever been around a special needs person who, what they would say, uniquely abled? They learn how to communicate even if they cannot speak. If you know someone who has special needs, you've seen that, and even if they have few words, and then some may have no words, they can show love. They can show anger. They can show fear. They can show appreciation. They can show gratitude. They can show desire. So think about this. If you are a grown woman and you are asking this question about your man and you're not paying attention to the signs, then you're making excuses for him, because it is not hard for a man to show you that he is serious about you. Now, if a man is serious, he is going to make contact with you every single day. The only way a man is not going to make contact is if he is in a place that there is no way for him to reach you, meaning on the moon, on Mars, or he is so deep underwater on a Navy ship, in a submarine. That's the only way a man is not going to make contact with you if he is serious about you. If a man is just working, he just quote unquote busy, he works a normal job. Now, if he works some crazy job for the CIA, the FBI, he's the president of the United States or whatever kind of dignitary or what have you in his country, that could be a different circumstance. But other than that, you got a guy who works in construction, in IT, a lawyer, a doctor, even a surgeon. He has time in 24 hours a day to let you know he's thinking about you. And even if he can't talk for long, he will text you and text with you. And that won't be a 3-4 day out the week thing. That'll be every now and then, once a week at the most, but really not even that. when a man is serious about you. When a man is serious about you, he's going to make time for you. You will know it.
Okay, so here is something where we agree again. Okay, and like I said, I've told people this before. Well, like even in the last video, I mean, again, there were things that we agreed on, and there were things that we disagreed on. But it's just like I said. I think we're kind of called to talk to slightly different audiences, and so that's kind of how it works. But anyway, what he's talking about right there is 100% true. The only issue that I take on that is to make sure that we understand timelines. Okay, make sure that we understand this, ladies, especially for the ladies a little bit more so than the guys, is that it's not going to start on day one. Okay, when he gets serious, that's the whole point. Getting serious, you have to understand that term. That term might not happen until 60 days in, 90 days in, okay, 120 days in. It's when he gets serious about you. All right. And again, it's also you have to understand what he does, who he is, and where he is, and how his life works. And again, that's really important. Now, I believe, like I say, in the texting side of it, he's going to make some kind of communication with you. But at the same time, you need to understand, okay, if you want to talk to him on the phone, actually hear his voice. Okay, that might not happen every day, especially if he is busy. But again, if you don't know him, how do you know he's busy? In my own dating experience, I try to explain to women that I am busy, because I do have a 9 to 5, and you actually see these videos that I'm putting out, and I actually do other media on the side. And once women date me and then they actually come into my environment, they see very quickly that, yes, I really am as busy as I say that I am. And then when it comes to like TV, I don't watch a lot of TV. I mean, a woman can't even say, well, hey, have you watched XYZ show on Netflix? Or have you watched this? Or have you watched that? Because I'm like, we can watch it together. But I'm like, I don't watch it. And so a lot of women, again, become, kind of like, okay, what are you doing all the time? And I said, I'm working. So you have to kind of know your man. And again, that's one of the differences that I talk about on this channel is because you need to know. Like I said, I am more instinct driven, and instinct driven people are almost always working. That is how they work. Now, heart and thinking types generally don't work as much. All right. So if you understand the personality of your person, that is going to help you to kind of know, okay, what are they really doing? All right. But if a guy can sit around and watch every single show on Netflix, and then he's basically saying, well, I don't have time to give you a call, then he's lying. It really is that simple.
Can we go to the next level? Can we be exclusive? He may not say boyfriend, girlfriend, if he feels that's outdated or childish, but he is going to ask you, can we go to the next level? And he's going to do that within 3 months if he's serious about you. At the longest, it's going to be 6 months, but that's when it's going to be extenuating circumstances.
So what he's saying right there, again, I agree to, and I've talked about that all the time. In 90 days, most people know whether or not they actually want to hang around with each other. They actually want to be in some kind of relationship, even if they're just hanging out. And this is why I always encourage both men and women. You see the cross on the screen, so I'll never encourage you to have sex. However, if you just feel like you just got to have it, you really don't want to do it early on. Because a lot of people, get hurt because they're trying to do it early on, and then the relationship hasn't even formed yet. The person doesn't even know if they like you yet, and that's both for men and women. Now, as you get close to 6 months, just like Mr. Gaskin says, also, Steve Harvey talked about it, that's when a lot of people start to fall in love. Now, it is possible to fall in love much earlier, but for most people, that is that place where most people, and again, this is a most type of thing. It's not everybody is going to fall in love. And again, it's about how much time you're spending. Like if you only see each other once a week for 2 hours, you can't believe that, okay, I've known this person for 180 days. They're supposed to be in love with me. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to be spending time together. And I know as Christians, sometimes that can be a little tricky, especially if you're trying to be abstinent. And that's why a lot of people talk about doing things like spending time on the phone. And that's why I really, really encourage you all to spend time on the phone, especially if you want to be abstinent, because it's very difficult to be in the space with someone. And let's be real, and you're over 18 and you're trying to, do right. Because at this particular point in life, unless you have a roommate, more than likely y'all two are going to be alone in that place. Okay. So you have to be careful in how you want to do that. And then you have to make sure that, both people, are on board. But the main thing is, remember, these dates and times, these are estimates. So it can be like 60 days, you guys might get in a relationship. It could be 10 days, you guys could get in a relationship. It depends upon how much time you are spending. I had a situation with myself where I actually had a lady, like literally she lived right up the street, maybe a couple of miles from me. And so literally she would come over to my place every other day. And she would spend about 3 to 4 hours a day with me, like I say, literally every other day. And so by doing that, it was almost like she was fast tracking the relationship, because me and her hanging out for 2 weeks was almost the equivalent of me hanging out with another woman for about 6 weeks. So again, you have to think about all these things, because no matter who's talking to you, me, Mr. Gaskins, whoever it is you're listening to, you have to always remember that your circumstances are going to be a little bit different. And you have to think about, okay, how much time am I spending with this person? Is this the average amount of time on average that most people would say, right? So am I spending all day Saturday and then no other times? Am I spending the whole weekend with this person? Am I over there all the time? Blah, blah, blah. All those things matter, right? And so these things you have to think about as you're trying to get to, this place. But no matter what the situation is, no woman should be hanging around, really, or a man either, should be hanging around with a person beyond 6 months unless both people are serious. And remember, when I say 6 months, I'm not saying dead on the day. I'm saying it could be 6.5 months. It could be maximum 7 months, but you definitely don't want to be there 9 months and the person, has not shown up as though they really want to be with you.
And really, within the first 3 months, if he is serious about you, he's going to introduce you to his friends and or family. And then 6 months, friends and or family. So, and again, it depends on the guy and it depends on his situation. So if he is a typical man has a mom who reinforces his grown boy behavior. That is very common and very typical for a mom to coddle her son, to baby her son, to reinforce toxic behavior. It is very common. So that mom is okay with meeting a different woman every month, every week. That's the mom that most guys have. Unfortunately, don't be that mom if you are a mom to a boy. On a rare occasion, a man will have a mom who she is very strict, she is strong, she is real, she is raw, she is direct, she is loving, she is kind, but she does not play games. She wants him to be an upstanding, respectable, responsible man, and she does not want him to bring a woman to meet her if he does not feel she can be his wife. Now, you as a woman, you will not know what the case is with him and his mom. It's impossible to tell, even though you're a woman, because this woman who is strict and strong, she doesn't have a look. She can look like a pushover. She can look like a drug addict. She can look like a drill sergeant. She can look like a model. So I say that to say a lot of us, including myself, had a mother that we could just bring a woman home every week. And mom just, hey, how you doing? Just go with the flow. Don't worry about it. Just understand young men date and date around and don't really care.
Okay, so this is where me and Mr. Gaskins diverge. And the reason why we diverge here is because I don't believe that any woman should be dating the typical man. I've talked about this before, and I say the same thing with men. You should not be dating the typical woman, all right? I just don't, Okay, that is a huge, to me, red flag. Anytime you're dealing with a guy that ain't got his life together, that's dealing with being coddled by his mother, and he is not broken away from that, that is basically walking, at 30 years old or more, and he has not figured out what his true manhood is, right? And I understand that some people that follow me, some of the guys and some of the women, they might not be at where they feel that they're 100% adulting yet. And that's fine, because on this channel, we talk about those things and we try to help people to get to where they're trying to go. But a man cannot be the leader, the protector, the provider if he cannot even do it for himself. All right. So a man has to stand on his 2 feet, and he cannot allow his mother to control him or to coddle him, okay, in a place. And see, that's where people end up with all these baby daddies, because a lot of women will accept this behavior because they believe that this behavior is normal, that most people, this is what they are receiving. And I'll be honest with you, in the black community, it's a high likelihood that a woman will run into a man like this. It's a high likelihood, because we talk all the time about how many single moms are out here, how a lot of men are raised without their father. And a woman is going to do either 2 things to her son. If she doesn't have a dad present, she's either going to figure out how to really man him up, or more than likely she's going to coddle him. All right. And people talk about that all over the internet. Right. But what I encourage women to do is to stay away from men who have coddle energy, because all that's going to do is it's going to put you in mommy mode, and you're going to come in like a mother. And then that's going to be your relationship with your husband for the rest of your life. And that is not the position where you need to be in. All right. And people can make the argument. They can get mad at me. They can say whatever the heck they want. But I am not here to coddle men. Okay. I'm not here to play around with little playboys that, basically want to leave babies all around, the United States. Okay, that is not what God wants. And men who have found themselves in that situation, what do I tell you guys all the time? Read, 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 read. It is impossible for you to get the 18 years you were supposed to watch your parents, 2 healthy parents, try to figure out life. That was what your parents were supposed to give you, right? So if you have not had it, nobody can give it to you now, but you can go research it. And you can say, okay, I got this issue, so how do I deal with it? How do I deal with it in a relationship? How do I deal with it as I move forward? How do I build a family when I never truly saw a nuclear family, in my life, right? But it is possible, and people are doing it, all right? So therefore, what you have to do is you have to do the extra work. And for women, it's the same thing. If you've never had a dad, okay, you have to do that extra work. But what I'm saying here is I don't give a flip. If I run into a woman that has not had a dad in her life, okay, first of all, I'm not even going to lie. That's going to put me in caution mode. And I'm okay with it, like I said before, as long as she's doing the work. And the work is not going to therapy. The work is about changing this. Therapy helps you deal with the pain that comes from making bad decisions, because the bad decisions were up here. If you don't fix this, what happens is you will continue to make bad decisions. So this has to be fixed first, okay? Then you can deal with the pain. Even if you want to deal with the pain first, fine, deal with the pain, take a break, and then fix this. All right? Most therapists are not trying to sit there and help you make better decisions with your life. I mean, some of them are, and that's why we got so many life coaches and all these coaches out here, because parents haven't done their job. All right? But the whole thing about it is, it's all about taking responsibility. I'm always telling you guys to do what? Read Proverbs, read Proverbs, read Proverbs. All right? That is wisdom, because wisdom helps you not to make bad decisions. And that's what it's about. You have to get wisdom up here. All right? So again, this is where me and Mr. Gaskins, we just split. Okay? You do not spend time with men, okay, that are walking in any type of boy energy. And if they are basically being coddled by their mother, they are walking in boy energy. Okay. And you need to get away from them. Most of the time, all they're going to do is hurt you. And I know even people have talked about like Pastor Gray, because it was a big thing about him, years ago, and I'm just being real. Him and his wife, that he actually got up on a famous, if you don't know about it, he got up in front of his congregation, because he has a pretty big congregation. And he talked about how his wife helped him to become a man. So she helped him to grow up and become a man. And since that time, he has cheated on his wife a couple of times. I don't know how many times, but he's definitely done it at least twice, because it's made national news, right? And see, that's what I'm talking about. Men who are walking in boy energy that need their wives to be their mothers, okay, that is never going to be a recipe for success. That is a recipe for failure, all right? And it's the same thing in reverse. Okay, women who have all these problems that they haven't really worked out, okay, again, that is a recipe for failure, all right? I'm never going to encourage anyone to deal with that, all right? You deal with it by working with the person, getting them the knowledge that they need in order for them to be successful.
So between 12 and 18 months, he's going to propose if he is serious about you and there aren't any extenuating circumstances. So if you're under the age of 25, that's a different ball game. It doesn't count until a man is 25 years old. When a man is 25 years old and y'all are dating and you live in the same city, like you can see each other every week and you can talk every day, that's when you're on a normal trajectory.
Once you get to about a year, the man should be serious, and again, it just depends upon the situation. And I like the fact that he talked about under 25, because I would say the same thing, because a lot of times people might still be in school. They might be trying to get their money up. They might be trying to break away, from their family, different things like that. So you have to give men and women time, to come up to speed. And it's just kind of like I was saying earlier with the women, and I'm saying basically you don't baby men and you don't coddle men and you don't deal with men that haven't broken away from their mom, that were coddling them. Well, how can they do that when they're 20? For most men, still around 20 years old, they're going to be financially dependent upon their mom, whether they're in school, i.e. college, technical school, might be going for a master's degree, or even if they're just trying to get out on their own. So they're having their very first job, and they're trying to get out on their own. They need some wiggle room time, in order to grow, to get their money up, to get their hustle and their grind up. And so it's going to take some time for them to break away. And this is another reason why I do not encourage women that are in their 20s, especially women between, once you're over 24, to be dating anyone that is not significantly older than you. And when I say that, I'm talking about 5 to 6 years older. So ideal situation for me, for a woman that's 24, is to be dating a man that's 29, 30. And by the time she's 26, you can add a couple of years every year that you grow, that you as a woman get older. So a woman that's 25, she can be dating a 30-year-old, but a woman that is 30 should be well open to dating a man that is 40. All right. That is what I encourage, because men do take a little bit longer for us to get our money up. And it also takes us a little bit longer to get our maturity level up. So because of that, you just want to open your dating pool. I'm not saying that you have to date someone that is that much older. I'm just saying you want to open it up to that possibility. But I think a lot of women would find themselves a little bit happier by dating a man that's older. And like I said, this is not saying 20 years older, okay? But like if you're 25 dating a guy that's 31, 32, because a lot of times by the time he's 32, he has his life pretty much in the direction that he wants it to go. He might be where he wants to be financially. And so now you're not coming in with struggle love. You're coming in with a man that has a plan, and you can fully see his plan. He's not breaking away, from his mom or his dad or his brother or whoever it is. All right. You need a man that is solidly a man. All right. And for the men, it works really well as well, because now you're dealing with a woman who has not been out here in the world, who has not been as corrupted, by all of the relationships and all the bad things that could have happened to her. Instead, you're dealing with someone, who is ready, for a serious type of love, okay, and might be fully there. And for the women that feel like, okay, well, I got to be out here and I need to be having fun in my 20s, you can have fun with your person. Okay, that's a lie of the enemy, okay, that you need to have your 20s to have fun. And all you got to do is look all around the internet, ladies that are in their 20s, and you will see all these videos talking about how a 30-year-old has hit the wall. Okay, throughout all of the world, okay, women find it a little bit more difficult to date and get married once they pass 30, 31, 32. Remember, none of these dates are exact, all right? But they find it more difficult. And that's why your 20s are still your best chance. And you can have fun with your person, especially if you date older, because more than likely he has more money. So now you can vacation together. You can go hiking together. You can start building businesses together. All right. And if you are a person that is more into business as a woman, you need to be finding a man that is also into business. Again, stop just marrying and dating the first person that's in front of you that you think, oh, well, this person is cute and blah, blah, blah. No, be mature enough to know that you have a balance between how attractive the person is, what they're trying to do with their life, okay, and their personality. And also, if you're a Christian, you have to be thinking about what is their true relationship to God.
Human beings, adults especially, we know how to hear something and change, but I want you to think about yourself and just a lot of times when we talking about this, we so hard when we judging somebody else, but how many times have you failed your diet? How many times have you said you're going to lose 20 pounds and you put on 10? How many times have you given yourself another chance to write your book or to start your LLC or to start your nonprofit?
Okay, he was tripping me out with them pauses. So I think what he's talking about right there is just the concept of giving up something for the other person. And honestly, that is one of the key elements that I always talk about when it comes to knowing whether or not somebody really loves you. Because a lot of times what happens is a person is willing to give up or at least kind of skew something that they really care about in order, to show you love. And I've talked about this a little bit a little while ago when I was trying to use the concept of the Atlanta Falcons. So I am a Falcons fan. I watch football. I don't really watch too many other sports, right? And if I'm dating someone and they're calling me on, Sunday at 1 o'clock, which 9 times out of 10, that's when the Falcons play, and they want help. If I really like them, then I am going to DVR and then I am going to go help the person that I am dating, right? But if I don't like them all that much, I might try to give them an excuse, especially if it's a good game, a game I really want to watch. I might give them a little bit of an excuse because I might want to watch it live. So these are the types of things people should be willing to give up a little bit in order to be with you, because you're not going to take your full self into a relationship. Okay. Just like I said, when you guys get married, you might get new furniture. I'm always telling people when you get married, definitely get a brand new bedroom suit. Do not, sleep on the same bed, okay, as you guys were dating, okay, because you don't know how many people's been on their bed. And honestly, it's a spiritual thing. So you want a brand new bed, a brand new mattress, hopefully a brand new bedroom suit, and hopefully a brand new house and or apartment if you can afford it. All right, but definitely a brand new bed / mattress that you guys can break in together. All right, so that's just one of those things, but you want to be moving and bringing yourselves together. Now I'm going to move on to some of the comments. So here are just a few comments real quick. My daughter is nonverbal and I understand most of what she says. If you are confused about a man and his behaviors, that's on purpose. He doesn't want you. Again, it's all about whether or not you actually are talking about that. Are you trying to figure out who he is? Is he trying to figure out who you are? Again, this is not going to show up on day 1, but it should be there on day 90. Thing at the bottom says, ladies, men are simple. They know exactly what they want, period. If you're confused, move on. Again, I say that leans more into instinct-driven men, which is what our stereotype is of men. But I will say, for the most part, I do think she is right, because when you're dealing with most people, period, most people, both men and women, they kind of know what they want. And if you don't feel like you're what they want after 90 days, you definitely need to move on. Here's a pretty good one. My husband is quiet and he pursued me to the ninth degree. Tony is right. My husband contacted me every day and wanted to see me every day, even if it was just for a few minutes to an hour. I was floored. I never had this happen before. It was so clear. He also said he wanted to be exclusive within the first week. Never has any man been so clear and intentional. I knew he was my husband. He made me and my family a priority. He enjoyed me. Every other relationship prior to him made me question where I stood with my husband. There were no questions. I knew he was into me and that he wanted me. He asked me to be his wife, and I said, yes, I can't imagine my life without him. God sent him to me and made him just for me. Again, I agree with most of that. Because again, every single person is going to go through things differently. I just had a friend who told me that she knows someone, and it wasn't her. I actually, you always had those stories where it's the person. But she actually came to me because she knows I have the channel and stuff like that. And she was telling me about a friend of hers who, after knowing a guy for about 2.5 months, they're actually already starting to talk about marriage. And when I'm starting to talk marriage, they're saying like get married in a month, move in together in a month, buy a house. They're doing all of that right now. And they've only known each other for about 60 days or so. And she was kind of floored by that. And I was also kind of floored by that, because that to me is not always the best practice, because you really haven't given yourself time to know the person. And while on social media, you're always going to find people where this thing happened for them. It really did work for them. And they were able to, meet somebody new in 3 months or 4 months, and then they got married. That is extremely rare. So what the lady is saying, I agree, because if she went through that over a year, I 100% agree with that. I don't think that there's all of this, misinformation, confusion that is going on. Most men are going to make it clear, and they're going to want to spend time with people. But another thing that you have to understand, again, is just about the person's temperament. All right. A guy that's a little bit more introverted, he's a little bit more heart type, he's a little bit more thinking type, he has the time. So like when she brought up the fact that he wanted to see me every day, he has the time to see her every day. But like for me, unless the woman wants to literally come and hang out, around me while I'm working, I just don't have the time for her every day. But that does not mean I wouldn't be serious about her. So again, you have to think about the type of person that you're with. And honestly, for a lot of the women, especially if you really want to date a driven man, a heavy duty instinct driven man, you really need to understand, can you hang? Okay, because his life is going to be different than the average life, right? And while you might say, well, I want all these perks, there's other issues with it as well. It's just like being a pastor's wife. Can you really be a pastor's wife? Okay, you might like the pastor. You might have a young pastor around you that you think is attractive, but can you hang with him? Because most pastors' wives actually do things in the church. They get up sometimes and even speak. So can you be that person? Are you that woman? And if you're not, then that doesn't work for you. So I did want to talk to those three comments. I did think that honestly on this particular one, me and Mr. Gaskins, we actually, agree a lot more. Okay, but again, this is dealing with marriage. Marriage is pretty easy to see. It's really not that difficult. Men that are serious about you, they're going to show they're serious. And women that are serious about you are going to show they're serious. And the main thing for both sides is to remember, they're going to start to take ownership. They're going to want to be around you. They're going to want it to know, like I say, everything. They're going to want to know your credit score. They're going to want to know where you want to live, how many kids you want to have, all these types of things. And these things you might even talk about, even to the point of what names you might name a child. Okay, a lot of women might not think that men would be into that, but if a man's been hanging out with you for 4 or 5 months, okay, he might want to know, okay, are you going to name my child, something like, Okay, Bentley. Are you going to try to name them Bentley or after a car or something like that, like some people do? Or are you going to give them a more traditional American name? Or are you going to try to give them an African name? All these types of things, or a Latino name. You never know, because you might be dealing with cross culturally. How are you going to deal with the last name? I know some cultures, they do a hyphen on the last name. But like with me, I would probably be a little insulted if a woman said, okay, well, I want to keep my name. So these are the types of things that, you will start to discuss. But again, those are serious types of things once you've gotten over the first couple of humps. So anyway, if you want to join membership, there's that membership button, so you can check that out. Remember, we also do lives on the first and third Wednesday at 7 o'clock Eastern time. So we're going to be doing lives. And please like and please subscribe. I'm going to see you all in the very next video.